Everybody, welcome back to my shop. On today's project, I'll get started at the table saw by ripping down all the parts that I need to make up the carcass of the shadow box. Once I have all the parts ripped down, I'll head over to the miter saw, set up a stop block, and cut them all to their length.
Okay, so all the basic parts of the box itself, the back, the sides, the top, and the bottom are cut. I'm not going to assemble anything yet because what I need to do now is for the shelves so the coins can sit. I'm going to run dados about 3 1/4 inches apart.
Using a square, I'll scribe all the lines for the location of my dados. Now, using a dado stack on my table saw, I'll position the fence to each shelf location. Once I make the first pass, cut that dado, I'll reposition the fence and make the second dado, and repeat this all the way through the top so I have equally positioned shelves. Drilling a small hole through the center of each dado, and this is going to give me a reference point when I install the shelves later. I'll be able to screw through the back without having to mark any lines and measure. Now I can flip the piece over and countersink the holes from the back. I'll install the shelves in the dados, then flip it over and screw them in through the back. I'm installing the top, bottom, and sides, but I have the back propped up on a 3/4 inch piece, and that's to allow room for the French cleat. Now I chose to install the French cleat system to hang this on the wall because it is rather heavy and it is going to be holding coins, which is some added weight.
Okay guys, so here's the basic box. These are the shelves for the coins. We're going to have a strip of pine covering these up to frame that out right up the end grain here. We're going to be installing a French cleat in the back. So I'm going to use this as the French cleat. I'm going to rip this down the middle on a 45-degree angle. And this is going to get installed here in the back. And we need to have that recessed. And what's going to happen is with that angle, this piece that's going to be up against here is going to get screwed in through the top. And the other piece will get screwed into the wall and the cleat will sit on top.
Now for the face frames, I'm going to create my own molding profiles on the router table, but I have to mill up some 5/4 pine because I'm also going to be using this for the edge banding of the shelves. Now I'm going to make the face frame for the box, but I'm going to cut a 45-degree miter on one side to get an accurate measurement. Now I'll hold the face frame molding in place and use a scrap piece of 1/2 inch plywood as a spacer block because I want a 1/2 inch overhang. And since the box is square, once I get my mark on the other side, I'll set up a stop block and cut all 4 pieces of the frame to the same length.
Okay guys, well, I ran all the profiles on these, so I have the frame sitting here on the table. It's going to be easier for me to glue and pin this together and keep it as one unit and then install it later on after the stain goes on. So what I'm going to do now is apply glue to the miters, and I'm going to join them up, and then I'm going to pin through the corners, and that's going to act as a clamp and hold it in place overnight while the glue sets.
Now for added strength, and since the back of the face frame is going to be hidden up against the box, I'm going to flip it over and install staples on all of the miters.
That I have everything stained, what I want to do before I spray my finish on it is to put these filler strips here to hide the end grain, and these are also going to act as a cleat to stop the coins from tilting forward or sliding off the shelf when it's in the vertical position on the wall. So the best way for me to do this and get it perfect is to make an easy jig. And basically what I did was I made a rabbet in this piece of wood here, this scrap piece, and that's exactly 1/4 inch.
Now I'll hold the scrap piece of wood in place up against the shelf, and I'll press the edge banding of the shelf against that jig that I made and nail it in place, and that'll give me the perfect even 1/4 inch reveal all the way across.
Now you can barely see them, but I'm just going to fill these pinholes with a wax stick that matches the color. So you just rub it in until it fills the hole, and then you just buff it out, and it covers up the nail hole completely. Now even though this is a 23 gauge pin, when the light hits it a certain way, you can see the nail shining a little bit. So that's the only reason I'm doing this. So once it's in there, it fills the hole. You just buff it out, it completely fills it.
And here I'm installing it on my wall in the shop on the French cleat. This way when the client comes to pick it up, he can see how it looks, and I'll show him how to hang it also in his house.
Okay guys, well that's it for this week's project. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was a fun build. It was a little tedious getting the stain and those the grooves there and everything for the shells. I think if I had to do it all over again, I'd probably leave the casing off the carcass itself. I would just, you know, have the back on with the shelves and then stain that, and then pre-stain the sides, and then assemble everything, and then spray the finish on, because the finish, when you spray it on, you can get it in all the little nooks and crannies there and everything. But thanks for joining me in the shop this week. I hope you guys like this project. If you haven't already subscribed, I hope you hit that subscribe button. A lot of projects coming up. I also just wanted to let you guys know I added a PayPal donation link. It's also on the channel itself. I think it's a little picture, but the PayPal donation link is strictly for this channel. It's in the description. Click on that link. It'll take you right to the donation page. Any amount that you can donate would be greatly appreciated. And that money that I get from that donation will go strictly to this channel. It will help me to create the best content possible and to fund more projects and anything that we need to do in the shop here for the channel. Thanks a lot for joining me this week, and I hope to see you guys next time.